I've always liked to go riding, just driving around in the car, seeing whatever. My mom and my dad liked to do that when we were younger, so we did it a lot. And then since my husband's stroke, I've mentioned to you all before that I do try to take him riding somewhere a little bit every day just to get him out of the house because his life has kind of gotten sedentary. Now my mom lives in her cabin right by us, so she's been going with us too. She enjoys it a lot. So now instead of just driving my husband around, I feel like I'm driving Mr. and Miss Daisy around. It's fun though. We enjoy it. Really don't talk a whole lot on these trips. We just kind of see what we see and see what comes up. You just never know what's going to happen. We don't really know what roads we're going on. We just kind of head out. If we went left today, we'll go right tomorrow. It's really the best way I know of to decompress. I love doing it. I love taking them. I love being by myself sometimes or what have you. Driving around, just kind of taking a country ride, not towards traffic, not towards cities, country rides. They decompress me. They make me relax. They give me time to think, time to just ponder, dream. I'm always looking at land and thinking about things. Just time to let your mind go free because this world has enough coming at us all the time. And we have to be able to get away from that at some point. We can't just always be so in tune to our televisions and our phones that we let it get to us and bring us down. And I have enough of that every day with telephones and with TVs going all the time. So we just unplug and escape and we get out sometimes. And I see things and I always think of y'all. I always think of my people that watch my videos and I want to show you the things that I see sometimes. And so I decided to film a lot of little clips here and there, a lot of pictures, and just put them all on one reel today. I've done a few other videos where I've showed you individual things I've seen, like a video on cinder block barns and a video on small structures. And I took a little drive with you all the other day where I took my camera with us. But this is just going to kind of put a lot of it together so that you can enjoy what it feels like to us to go riding around. I hope you enjoy it. Just let me know if you do in the comments. Let me know what you like to do and whether you love taking a country drive. On our country rides, we always end up seeing these houses off the road or in the woods or sometimes just in terrible, terrible shape. But they're abandoned. Nobody lives in them anymore, but they have good bones, and you can tell at some point they were a home place. And man, it just pulls at my heartstrings because I wish I had the money to buy some of these properties and do something to fix them up. It would probably cost more than a child's college education just to fix the foundation, much less the rest of the house in some of them. But I hate to see them deteriorate. And they're found all over. I'm sure all over America, but especially down here in the South. In some of the towns that have kind of died out as the people moved to different other parts for different schools and things like that, the houses sometimes will just sit and they'll just deteriorate, and then eventually they'll be abandoned and nobody lives in them. And it just tears me up because I know at some point they had a vibrant family living in them, kids running in and out of there, playing in the front yard, walking to school, doing things, shopping. Their parents probably worked locally at stores or banks or what have you. And it just represents a time that's gone in some of these areas and some of these towns. Sometimes they're in good places. It's just that the family doesn't want to live in those houses anymore, so they're still sitting there, but no one lives there, and they haven't torn them down. This house here, the grass doesn't fool me. I know there's a beauty behind that grass. That is a beautiful home that at some point was a crown jewel of its neighborhood. I have to give credit to the people who do try to preserve the homes that are on their property. even though probably they're not livable anymore, or it's way too expensive to fix them back up. This little house here is not far from me, and every time I go down that road, I just stare at it. I just look at it. It's so beautiful, that red roof and red brick chimney. And it's behind a beautiful fence, and they keep it mowed, and it's right near the main home and residence, and it's really kept up and everything. And I do appreciate that when I see that. This old girl caught my eye. Whoo, it was so pretty when I came around a corner in Liberty, Mississippi, and I saw her sitting there, just as lonely as she could be, but still beautiful. I had to stop. I stopped and took pictures from two different directions because to me, she's still so beautiful. How I wish someone around there would fix this up. She is so pretty, and it's got so much square footage, and it's just majestic in that town. I wish someone would fix that up so badly. Some houses are so overgrown, they kind of play peekaboo. You know they're there, but they have so many shrubs around them that you can't see all of their features. But this beautiful red chimney caught my eye, so I had to take a picture. I wish this house could also be fixed up. I'm fixing to show you one that my mom has always looked at off the highway, kind of near where we live. But then the woods took it over and we couldn't see it anymore. And then recently they came in and started clearing out the woods, and now you can see the structure. It's in very bad shape, and it's probably going to end up coming down when they finish doing their work. But I wanted to go ahead and document it and put it in this video because it's just something we've always looked at for years, and I was so happy that we could at least see it again for a little while. There's an invasive vining plant, especially prevalent in Mississippi, called kudzu, and you don't ever want it growing on your house and up into your eaves and your attic areas and all. You just don't want that. So usually when you see a house like that that's covered, it's usually abandoned. And this one pretty much looks abandoned. I hate to see a good old girl like this get ate up with kudzu and eventually probably have termites and rot. But I wanted to take a picture while I could because she is a beauty, and she was probably a majestic jewel in her neighborhood at some point as well. Don't laugh. I know she may not be much of a looker now, but come on, look at that yellow paint. That chip yellow with the gray shutters and the red door. That's beautiful. And I noticed her the minute I turned the corner and started coming down the street. She goes pretty far back into the back of part of the house. The front's just a little narrow. The roof's a little short, but she's a beauty to me. This house was owned by someone who had to be somebody back in the day. And at some point, it was probably considered one of the most gorgeous houses in this little town. Now it's got a sign on it that says, "Stay out, keep out, danger," probably because you would get hurt going inside it. But I can just still see all the beauty and all the possibilities. And maybe one day, if the economy gets a little better, if people are doing a little better, some of these old places can be fixed up. This last place is a compound of little buildings. It's on a road that I go on a lot because I'm thinking it may be where some of my family used to have family reunions. I read about a place in this area that people would always meet for our family reunions years ago. And I think this might be it. It's in the right area, and it looks big enough to hold a big family reunion. So it's dear to my heart because I wonder if it's somehow involved with my family. So I'm always on the hunt for empty, abandoned old houses with charm when we're riding down these country roads or going through small towns or even little small cities. Wherever, I'm always noticing these houses. And I'm not crazy or anything. I'm not crazy. Believe me, I'm not the only woman doing this. A lot of people love riding around. A lot of people may at some point pull the trigger and buy one of those properties and really take care of it and keep it looking good. And I hope that they do. As an amateur photographer, and I'm so amateur that I don't actually have a camera, all I have is my phone, but I enjoy taking pictures. I enjoy just documenting the things that we see. And it never surprises even me what catches my eye. Some of this may to you look like a tornado came through, or it may just look like a big rusty pile of mess. But to me, it's gorgeous. And it stops me to the point where I check my rearview mirror to make sure nobody's behind me before I whip into a driveway to turn around and come back and take pictures of an old store that it's seen its better day, but that still look beautiful to me. And this gold door on this old dairy barn, it got me. I can't hardly pass up taking a picture of something I see out in a field, a barn, or even somebody's mailbox at an abandoned house. I'm not crazy. It was an abandoned house, but I pulled in and took a picture because I thought it was beautiful. And the ivy growing over this old dairy barn, it doesn't hide its beauty from me. I see it clearly. We have a lot of these where I live, and I think they're just gorgeous, and I always will take a picture of one.
See a horn, don't he?
I can't tell.
No.
Ears, just ears. If you put red paint on it, or yellow, or green, or blue, and it's old and chippy looking, I'm going to stop and take a picture of it, if I can. Those paint colors just absolutely blow me away. And I love it when I see them on old buildings or old signage. Empty buildings, it doesn't matter. I just love it when I see those colors on things. It just brings back so much nostalgia for me. Not that I'm very, very old. I'm not. But it brings back those days when, I don't know, just that country feel of neighbors and home. And the things we yearn for when this world does seem like a crazy place. We kind of yearn for all that. And so when I see things with those colors, for me, it's an emotional connection. And I just love it. And I always try to stop and kind of take a picture of it. And just think about the time when those things were in their heyday, when they were being used, when they were bustling and busy, like these old stores here. And I just kind of wish, for those days to be that simple again. And we can do that. We can make that happen in our own lives. We just have to intentionally think about it and do it every day, everywhere we go. Bring that peacefulness into this world. Bring that happiness. Just take it with us wherever we go and spread it to other people. I'm blessed to be able to go buy meat from local farmers. And when I go to Smith Angus Farms in Mount Hermon, Louisiana, to pick up my meat, this is what I see along their driveway. Absolutely beautiful. But don't tell them that I have some lamb stew meat and lamb shanks in my box. That's going to be our little secret. A lot of things I see from my car, it belongs to other people on their land, their privacy and all. I can't go on their property and look at things. But this picture here is something that is very personal to me. It belonged to a relative of mine, and it's a building in Chipola, Louisiana. I'm saying this because if there's anybody out there that has went motorcycle riding back in the day in Chipola, Louisiana, you'll know this building. It was the only store around that area, and hundreds of bikers from all over would go there to get them a RC Cola and a pack of cigarettes or something before they ran out and rode their bikes all over the place in the countryside. It was a very popular place back in its day, and a cousin of mine owned that store. So that's one site that every time I drive by, I have a personal connection to, and I reminisce about those days of going up there with my grandpa to visit him. Good memories. Good memories. As I've mentioned several times on my channel, I began a couple of years ago working on my genealogy for my family. The reason was because when I moved up here to my new home, this is actually where my grandfather was raised, and a lot of roots up here. And I started realizing that I was kin to certain people around here, and I met a few of them, and we've just all gotten along so good that I really delved into my family genealogy. So that's what a lot of rides Richard and I were going on there for a while. A lot of rides were for me to go check out information. I was looking for cemeteries that were all over this part of Louisiana and in Mississippi. And we went down so many roads to find these cemeteries so that I could visit them and find graves, because you actually get a lot of information from the graves. You find people you didn't know about, buried by other people, children and such. And it's just really good to go firsthand and look at those grave sites to get extra information and to get correct dates and things like that. So that's the root of a lot of our drives that made me kind of learn the country around here as I was searching for cemeteries. But I found too that I loved the cemeteries. What a weird thing to say, but I found that I truly loved visiting these cemeteries. People have always said that strange things happen in cemeteries, and they have for me too, but it's been beautiful things, God things. I ended up meeting the woman who ran this cemetery in Osaka, Mississippi. We talked, we walked the cemetery, we got along so good, we talked and laughed, and she ended up inviting me to join the Daughters of the American Revolution in that area. I couldn't because of my husband, but I appreciated it, and I know she's a very kind woman, and I enjoyed meeting her so much. I was at a cemetery in Jackson, Louisiana, and I met the man who was the manager of that cemetery. They're not always at the cemetery, but I keep meeting them everywhere I go. And he talked to me a little while. He showed me where some graves were. And then he said, "Didn't you say you were from so and so?" The town I was from. And he said, "My brother in law used to own a business there, and it was called so and so." And I said, "That was the business my dad owned." I said, "Your brother in law was his business partner." I said, "I worked there for 28 years. I knew those people so well." And we just got to talking, and it was so nice to be able to remember the people I used to work with, because he and his wife have both passed away, and to meet someone that they were kin to and that knew them and knew everybody I was talking about when we were talking about them. It was so nice, and it felt like a God thing. I just keep feeling like God puts me with certain people when I'm at these cemeteries. And I have another story. I went to the cemetery in Gloucester, Mississippi. I think it's called Roseland Cemetery. And I saw a man kind of far off from me, and I kept my eye on him because I'm always kind of keeping my eye out when I'm in these cemeteries. I got out of my car, quickly looked at the grave I needed to look at, and then I was going to jump back in my car because I didn't want that man to get too close to me. And all of a sudden I hear him say, "Miss Laney?" And I turned around and I looked at him and I said, "Trey?" And I could not believe it. It was a young man I had taught catechism to 20 years before that at the Catholic Church in the town I was from, which was way away from where we were at the cemetery in a whole nother state. He and I just happened to be at that cemetery at the exact same time looking for relatives' graves. It was the strangest thing. And we gave each other a hug and talked. I introduced him to my husband. It was the weirdest, strangest thing in the world. And I keep realizing all these God moments that come up at these cemeteries. If you'll bear with me, I have one more story. This doesn't have to do with a country ride, but it does have to do with the cemetery. I had three young relatives, infants and little children, whose graves I really wanted to go see, but it said on findagrave.com that the graveyard was overgrown, it was inaccessible, it was on private property, and do not access. You had no access to it. So I had just written it off. It was only a four grave cemetery, and my little three relatives were three of the four graves there. But I just knew I would never be able to see it because I didn't know where it was or who owned it or how I would get there. Well, my electrician's wife called me one day and she said my electrician and his son were at their hunting camp trying to clear off property with the other hunting club members. And she said, they found a little graveyard, and I'm sending you the pictures of the graves they found. She said, they thought you might like it since you like history of this area. And it was the three little graves for my relatives. This is their headstones here. I like to die. I told her, I said, those are my three relatives that I never thought I'd get to see their graves. And so she had pictures of the graves, and I was able to vicariously through them see these graves. They are going to try at some point to get it cleared off. He's told me, he said, we'll take care, we're going to clean up that graveyard. We'll get all the trees away from it and stuff. We'll clear it up. So I said, oh, that's wonderful. And they're going to try at some point when it's not hunting season and other people are on the property or anything to take me out there and let me see this little graveyard. I would love to get it cleaned up. It's just three little children's graves that matter a lot to me, and I hate to see the woods and all take their graves over. So maybe that's just the biggest blessing in the world that my electrician and his son joined the hunting club this year that was on that property, and they might be the catalyst for saving these kids' little graveyard, little cemetery, and keeping it from being lost forever in the woods. I've broadened my interest not only to just cemeteries that are related to my family, but also to other cemeteries in my area that I find interesting. Like this one here, it's called Hoff Young Cemetery. It's on private property. I couldn't get close to it and walk it or anything, but I did drive by it a couple of times just to get a little footage. But this cemetery is interesting because it has a lot of Confederate soldiers in it, and the woods had completely overgrown it. So a while back, they made a concerted effort to recover it from the woods. And prisoners from a prison nearby and our electric companies cut trees, and the prisoners did a lot of work. People donated fencing, jumped in, and helped save this cemetery from the trees, basically. Someone gave me an old newspaper recently that had an article about that cemetery in it, so I was able to learn about it. I just think these things are so interesting, and we need to save our cemeteries. They are our history of our country, our people, our families, and we need to preserve them at all cost. That's one of the passions I'm starting to have with all this. Another cemetery that I learned a lot about was the German Cemetery, which is located in Kirksville, Louisiana. Now, if you try to go to Kirksville, Louisiana, you're not going to find it because it doesn't exist anymore. That's what I learned when I stumbled upon this cemetery and started doing some research on it. It's located between Kentwood, Louisiana, and Osaka, Mississippi. It sits right on the Louisiana border, on the Louisiana side, but on the border of Mississippi. But it does not exist anymore, even though it used to be a thriving town with hotels and stores and everything. It just went away. I think the trains stopped stopping there, and then the town just kind of went away. But this cemetery still exists, and it's very old. Some new graves, but most are very, very old. But it still exists. It was for German citizens that settled that area in the beginning. In the history of the cemetery, though, they ended up carving out a section of it and bricking it in with a brick wall and all and opening it to Jewish residents. I think that's kind of unusual to have a Jewish and Christian cemetery all together, but they did that here in this community. And I always wonder, do the people that live around there know very much about the history of Kirksville and the fact that it used to be there and is not anymore? I wonder if they teach the kids that at school. It's just very, very interesting, and I would not have known it, even though I don't live too far from there. I would not have known that had I not been interested in cemeteries and had I not went there and then decided to study up on it. All of this is really just something I'm starting to be very interested in, and it's teaching me history at the same time. There's so many things that I like looking at while we're out riding. I could do other videos as well. I could do videos about monuments or downtown areas and downtown shops and antique shops and things like that. I'm just trying to cover a few of the things today. One other thing that I really like to focus on when I go through little communities or even out on these country roads is to look at churches. I just love to look at churches. And if we happen to be out riding at the right time on a Wednesday night or Sunday evening, Sunday morning or something, and I see cars all in the parking lot of the churches, I don't care what denomination, I'm so happy. I just love seeing the churches active and full and just seeing that people still care and people are trying their best to be good and to love God and to do the right thing in this world. And it makes me so happy. So I snap pictures every now and then of churches as well, big and small. And I'll put a few of them here now for you to see. When they say they don't make them like they used to, they could be referring a lot of times to churches because some of the older churches were just so well built, so beautiful. And they don't have to be big Gothic churches or anything like that, even though those are gorgeous. But even the smaller churches were stout and well built and thought out, usually. A lot of churches these days utilize the metal building structure, and I understand why. Because the cost to build an ornate brick structure can be very prohibitive to a church. And also, the skill sets that are needed to build some of those type buildings aren't there anymore. So when I'm out riding and I see any type of beautiful chapel or church, I love to take pictures of them. These buildings need to be cherished. They have character, they have depth. Lots and lots of thought was put into every aspect of these buildings. And we need to honor that. We need to appreciate them and honor that. And I pray all of our churches can experience so much growth and stay around for many, many years. We need our churches. I love this old church. I've always wished I could go in it and see just what's inside, but it's overgrown, it's behind a fence, and I have no idea. I have no idea what denomination or anything this is, but it's an old, beautiful church. It's outside of Centerville, Mississippi, and I've always wished I could go in it and just see. I can tell it has stained glass windows, and I love it. But I don't think that's going to be possible. I wish it could be put back into use. It's just beautiful. I sure do hope that you all have enjoyed riding along with us today. I've enjoyed having you. I wish I could kind of just film every day's ride and show it to you. That might get old after a while. These rides don't get old to me, but it might get old just for that to be the feature of my channel. I just thought I would compile a lot of different things today and show them to you. And actually, I'm really not finished yet. I have one of the best parts of these drives coming up here at the end of the video. There's all kinds of roads in this world, all kinds of roads to enjoy. One out of one expert has proven that driving slowly down a gravel road can cure many conditions. Conditions such as worry you may have accidentally brought home with you from work, or tension in your shoulders that you just can't seem to relax any other way but driving down a gravel road. It can ease the worry that you may have had that you forgot to pick up something at the grocery store, or that you didn't go to the city that night to meet friends for dinner. The gravel road reminds you that you're going home, and it's good. And the expert that proved this is me. When driving on these gravel roads and on a lot of back roads, I'm remembering that these roads are here for a reason. They were put here to connect farms or to connect communities that may still exist but may not. A lot of the people that lived back in here may be gone. But these roads were here for a reason because they connected things at some point. And sometimes I see a grouping of trees, and I automatically know that used to be an old home place site. And sometimes I get lucky, and I'm right, because I see a chimney that survived long after the house had been gone. I've started taking pictures of these chimneys, and I want to share a few of them with you here. I hope you'll see why I love these things and why I know there's always history and story behind them. I found this beauty outside of Meadville, Mississippi, in the exact same way I just described. We came upon this grove of beautiful trees amidst a lot of pine trees. And I told Richard, I bet there was a home place there. And when we came around the curve, there was the chimney. I did a wheelie in the road. I turned around in somebody's driveway and I went back to get that picture. I just couldn't pass it up because all that greenery you see around it is kudzu. And one day that kudzu will just climb up on that chimney and we won't be able to see it anymore. So I wanted to get that picture while I could. Speaking of chimneys that we may not be able to see one day, this is an example. I had ridden by this one outside of Easleyville, Louisiana, several times and didn't notice it until one day the sun was shining bright and it wasn't in the shadows of the trees and all, and I saw it. So, of course, I pulled over and took a picture. This is what I mean that they save them, they don't tear them down, but they could be obscured and all one day by foliage and overgrowth and kudzu. So we really have to appreciate them while we can. I notice a lot of people leave their chimneys. They leave them there even after the house is gone and they may have built something new there. They might be living there right by it, but they leave that chimney. Now, I love it because I love the chimneys. I just always think it's so funny, though, how people want to hang on to that part of their property. The house can rot and be gone, but that chimney is their reminder of what used to be, and they keep it there. I know of two more places I could go right now to photograph their chimneys that are sitting right by their new construction homes, but those old chimneys are still sitting there, and I love it. This is an example of what I'm talking about. The contractor who did the slab for my mom's cabin was hired recently to tear down an older home. He did the job, he did a great job. He tore down the home, but he left the chimney. I'm sure the homeowners asked him to, but he probably would have done it anyway. That's just the thing you do around here, is people leave their chimneys. It's that connection to what was, and why destroy it? They're built so strong and beautiful. Why not keep them? This pretty one sits in a field way off the road. I had to zoom in for this picture. It's in a little field outside of Gillsburg, Mississippi. I rode by it 3 or 4 times before I ever stopped in the curve to take a picture of it because it's not in the best place for me to stop, but the urge to do it finally won out, and I did take the picture one day. It's rare to see a black and white chimney in this area. Most chimneys have red tones or orange tones to them, but this one was so beautiful, I had to get a picture of it for my collection of chimney pictures. Behold the beauty of the cropping tool on your camera. What you don't see by this chimney is a big busy gas station, and on the other side of it is a bunch of propane tanks. Whoever developed this property to put this gas station in, which is at a busy intersection, whoever developed it left the chimney. They decided that chimney was going to stay no matter what. So every day, everybody that pulls up to get gas or that goes around to get their propane or what have you, they all see the chimney. It's still there. It was prized by whoever developed the property, and it's been left by the owner since then. That's just what I love about these chimneys. Everybody seems to be appreciative of them. If I had to have a beauty contest for chimneys, this one right here would win the title of Chimney of the Universe. I just love it. I love it. It's beautiful. It's rough. It's rugged. It says, I was made from home found materials, stone found from this farm, and I'm solid and I'm not going anywhere. That's what this chimney says. And whoever decided to put this pole barn just put it right by that chimney, and the chimney stayed even after the house was gone. Y'all, these are why I love these chimneys. And these are why I take pictures of them. And I'm never going to stop. Unlike, I guess, a gambler who goes to a casino, there's no 1-800 line for chimney-loving photographers. There's no support groups. There's no drugs. There's no cure. I'm going to take pictures of chimneys until the day I die. As the drive on this gravel road comes to an end and I have to decide whether to turn left or right, it doesn't matter. No stress. We'll find something to get into, and we'll find something beautiful to see. That's the beauty of a country drive. Well, it's been a great ride. The day's winding down, and so is this ride, so we're going to head on home. I hope everybody gets a chance to just get in the car, unwind, breathe some air, take in some sights, see the scenery, the barns, the hay bales, the cows, the buildings, everything. Just soak it all in and enjoy. We have a beautiful country, live in a beautiful state. I live in a beautiful area that I'm very happy to be in. I wish you all the best. This is Lainey at Hilltop Home Place. Y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.